Question of the day: when you play a take that sort of game, what aspects of that do you enjoy or not enjoy? Is it the things that force you to change things in your hand, or is it the more bigger world pictures where it's like, hey, you get up out of your chair, go sit there? What do you like when it comes to a take that game? Is it something that it becomes a fun experience for you to talk about, oh, remember when we did this? Or is it more like, oh, this is strategic, I can force this person to give a card to that person who's going to hurt them? The reason I ask is because we're talking about Yacht Club today, a game all about building yachts and taking that to your opponents. But essentially, you're going to be building these yachts to have the most prestige at the end of the game. Person with the most prestige plus money wins at the end of the game. Let's take a look at Yacht Club, see how it plays, come up and talk about it right now. All right, so here's Yacht Club right here. Basically, it's a deck of cards with multi-use cards and player aids, and there's a couple little standees, but they really don't do anything. So everybody gets these player aids. It describes the phases of the play. I'm going to do that really quick just so you can see. Basically, it's a pretty simple game. I mean, you're going to set it all up, shuffle the main deck, deal everybody 5 cards. I mean, that's obvious. You're going to shuffle the discarded cards whenever you get to that, obviously, and then that's kind of the timer. Once you run out of the shuffle pile or the draw pile once, you're going to take a card, stick it face up on the bottom of the draw pile and redo it. When you hit that point, it's your timer to know, okay, game ends, so let's count points. Total is the winner is the person with the most prestige and money. But the phases of play are pretty simple. You're going to auction up to 3 cards out of your hand, 1, 2, or 3. Never less than one. It has to be 1, 2, or 3. The other players bid on them, and the way you use money is the cards have multi-use. So 3 things about them. First of all, this is what the section of the card is for building your yacht. This is the section for how much money it's worth. This is one. And then down here is the event section. So these are all 3 used in 3 different ways. The money is used out of your hand of your cards to buy cards from them. So if they say, hey, I'm auctioning up this card, you're looking at your hand and go, I'll pay you 5 for that. I'll pay you 6 for that, whatever. And you never get change, so you have to pretty much be exact, which is kind of tricky. You can't get change back for overpayment and things like that. So you kind of want to bid in a way that tightens that bidding up to get to your closest exact amount without going over, obviously. So you're going to auction those cards off, and there's some interesting mechanics about if you reject the bid, you have to essentially pay and keep that. So next thing is building. You're going to take the winner of that card is going to take that and build it. They're going to discard or play the card, build to enhance the yacht. So number 3 is you're going to play an event card. So this is the bottom part of the cards here. So all of these different events are different take that's. Now some of them are interesting, like human body style take that's, where it affects the whole like outside of the game. Like this one, nom nom nom. If a player is eating or drinking, place this card in front of one. If the player hasn't finished by the beginning of the next turn, they must discard a card. This card remains in front of them. If they do finish, they may place it in front of another eating or drinking player. So that's one that kind of affects you outside of the game. Whereas this one is you may trade any one completed sailing yacht you own for one incomplete yacht of another player. Now, why would you do that? The yacht they're building might be worth more points. So there are a lot of these cards that do some interesting things. Some of them are silly. Let's see if I can find monster trucks. Yeah, here we go. Monster trucks. The first person to point out that monster trucks have nothing to do with yachting gets to draw 5 cards. They then give you 2 of the cards as a reward for proving their knowledge. So interesting things like that are just kind of silly, but there's also just your traditional take 3 cards from the discard pile, etc. Now, anyway, you're going to have a hull out here. The hull is what you have to start it. Once this is built, this is going to be worth 18 points, right? It has 7 spaces. So in order to do that, you're going to be trying to fill it by taking these negatives on there. So if I play this card down here, so now this card only has 6 spaces left. Once it's full, you'll then square up the cards, and that is then worth the points at the end of the game. Now, again, you're going to count the extra points based on every one of these stars here. So you do get a lot of points on these things, but once you complete this sucker is going to be worth quite a lot anyway, being that it is a huge sailing hull. It's not easy to fill. But some of these do take 3 and 4 slots a piece like this, but they also have really good events at the bottom. So it's kind of a push and pull. Do I want to take the card to use it for money, because this one's worth $6, or do I want to use it for the event, or do I need to use it for my own yacht? So it's interesting the way you have to push and pull between it. You check your hand size. If you have less than 3, you draw 3 cards. If you have more than 9, you discard 2. So that is how the game is played, essentially. You're going to keep doing that until the game ends with that timer. Person with the most prestige points on the game board that you have built in front of you, have completed yachts, plus the money left in your hand, wins the game. So that's Yacht Club. It's actually pretty straightforward, right? You get your holes, you try to fill the holes with certain rooms, you auction those cards out of your hand to get money. You then buy the cards on someone else's phase during an auction phase. It is pretty basically straightforward. You're going to auction, you're going to buy, you're going to build your yacht, you're going to get the points for it, and then you're going to play the events during the event phase of your turn. Now, these are tons and tons of things like you saw. Things like forcing people to switch seats, forcing people to, you're allowed to cheat. You can start taking cards, putting a card in front of someone who's eating, and if they don't finish by the end of the next round, they have to essentially lose a card. So it's funny the way it works. The take that takes two phases. It's kind of the Mountains of Madness, sort of like do this with your body sort of take that, but it's also like, hey, everybody gets a card, or everybody loses a card, or I'm taking your cards and giving it to that person. So almost everything in the whole take that kitchen sink genre basically is in here. So that's how the game plays. The game looks okay. It's pretty basic, small box game, so there is that, but looks pretty basic. I mean, there's just, it is what it is. It's kind of almost, it's not isometric, but it's kind of top-down art on a lot of these things, or side view art on the elevation of these. So just, it is yachts, and it's kind of, aristocratic looking, sort of. It's meant to be kind of neat and nice looking, but it just feels a little flat, purposely. But also, when it actually hits the table, it looks and feels flat, even though it's a card game, obviously that's what I mean, but the art itself just feels flat. It doesn't do anything for me. It doesn't just jump out. So the art's just kind of flat, but the mechanics of the game are pretty straightforward. I like a good auction game, so having an auction happen at the beginning of the round is nice, but also the fact that you auction 1, 2, 3 of your cards, that's good too. I like the fact that you don't just have to do one, but you do have to do some, so people are always able to get cards from you. The tricky part is there's a lot of push and pull on knowing people know what you need, so they're not necessarily going to auction up the cards that you're going to finish a yacht for, but they also need money, so it's kind of that push and pull. There's a nice push and pull between, hey, I need money, but I also don't want them to get too much further ahead of me in the points things. So there is that, but there's also the idea of, wow, I really like this card's event. I don't want to give this up, so I'm going to hold on to it just for the event. So there's some nice push and pull and card play there, but where the cards do multiple things. They are, in fact, pieces for your yachts, but they're also events and they're also money. So having the 3 different things to really push and pull on what you want a card to become or do for you is kind of a nice aspect of it. So that is Yacht Club. It's pretty straightforward. It's a card game in which you are playing cards, auctioning cards to get the most points at the end of the game. It's not for me though. It's really just maybe because it's this trick-taking type genre is just not for me, of like, hey, let's slap a theme on a game. And I'm not saying that's what they did, but most trick-taking games to me feel like that, of, hey, this game's got a theme, kind of. It's called Yacht Club because it's about yachts, but couldn't it also be about this, this, and this, and this? Absolutely. So I have a hard time getting into these sorts of games anyway, so this might be for you. You might be seeing this review and seeing how it plays and think, oh, that's perfect. That's exactly the kind of game I like. But for me, yeah, it's a big whiff. So Yacht Club, pass for me. I'm Bryan Drake here on the Dice Tower. Make sure to follow us on Twitter, Instagram, @DiceTowerBryan. Till next time, we'll see you.
Thanks so much for watching another Dice Tower video. If you enjoy our videos, subscribe to the channel for more fun, comprehensive board game coverage. Also, consider joining us at one of our events. Come to Dice Tower Retreat, a small, intimate gathering where gaming is king. Join us for Dice Tower Cruise, the largest board game cruise. Attend Dice Tower West in Las Vegas, where gaming fun on the West Coast, or Dice Tower East in Orlando, in sunny Florida. Dice Tower Conventions, the friendliest gaming conventions on Earth. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower.